In the darkest days of World War II, when the world seemed to have lost all hope, a group of unlikely heroes rose up from the ashes. They weren't soldiers. They weren't trained assassins. They were ordinary men and women, Jewish survivors, who became extraordinary warriors. In today's video, we're diving into one of history's most daring and fascinating acts of resistance. How the Jewish Avengers took matters into their own hands and struck fear into the Nazis. This is their story. To understand the story of the Jewish Avengers, we first need to understand the unimaginable horrors they faced. By 1941, Nazi Germany's campaign of terror against the Jewish people was in full swing. Millions had already been murdered in the Holocaust, and the rest of the world seemed to be turning a blind eye. But not everyone would stay silent. The Jewish people, once victims of oppression, were about to become the agents of their own vengeance. Enter the Jewish Avengers, a group of Holocaust survivors, soldiers, and resistance fighters who, after escaping Nazi-occupied Europe, took it upon themselves to hunt down the men responsible for the atrocities. Formed in the aftermath of the war, the Jewish Avengers were made up of former partisans and Jewish brigade members. Led by a man named Abba Kovner, one of the most famous Jewish resistance leaders, they embarked on a mission to seek justice. Abba Kovner, who had survived the Vilna Ghetto, became the face of the Jewish Avengers. He believed that the best way to take revenge on the Nazis was not through conventional warfare, but through sabotage, assassination, and psychological warfare. He envisioned a world where those who aided the Nazis would not walk free, not while his people were suffering. Their goal wasn't just to fight back, it was to make the Nazis feel the terror that they had inflicted on innocent people for years. But how did they do this? The Avengers were ruthless, strategic, and deeply determined. One of the Jewish Avengers' most significant missions was the targeted assassination of Nazi officials. In 1946, they planned an audacious operation, the poisoning of over 2,000 Nazi sympathizers and collaborators in Germany. The goal? To send a clear message: no one who helped the Nazis would ever live in peace. They didn't just kill Nazis, they also orchestrated several acts of sabotage, including the destruction of key transportation lines. In doing so, they crippled Nazi supply chains and raised the stakes for anyone who dared to aid in the Nazi cause. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. The Jewish Avengers knew that their fight wasn't over with the end of the war. The men and women who had been responsible for the Holocaust couldn't be allowed to escape unpunished. Their operations didn't just disrupt the Nazis, they changed the course of history. The message they sent rippled through Europe, and even in the chaos of post-war Europe, they managed to make sure that the world could never forget the atrocities committed by the Third Reich. Though some of their actions remain shrouded in secrecy, the legacy of the Jewish Avengers lives on. Their courage, their bravery, and their unyielding pursuit of justice remind us that sometimes history's greatest heroes aren't the ones with the most fame, but the ones willing to fight when all seems lost. The Jewish Avengers weren't just soldiers of war, they were symbols of defiance, proof that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can find a way to rise. Would you have joined them? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this incredible story of bravery and resistance, make sure to hit that like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe to Moments in Time for more mind-blowing historical facts. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and remember, history isn't just a story, it's a lesson. See you next time.